Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos. And this is a show in which we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Oh man, this is like one of the latest times I've recorded a show. It's Thursday. Normally I record on Monday, but I've been sick. And then also XCOM Enemy Within came out. And buddy. Sucking up my time on my days off. Sucking up my time. But anyway, today you might be asking what we're going to get into. This show has been requested by a listener on Twitter. And as soon as I bring up Twitter on my phone, the one little thing I sort of can control now and then, and get the right Twitter account, I'll be able to tell you his name. But anyways, requested on Twitter to talk about Batman Arkham Origins. And truthfully, as it stands now, I really don't think it's one of those, hey man, really, you really need to grab that. You know what I mean? I think it's one of those situations in which, at best, pick it up piecemeal as you want. Oh yeah, the homie Austin Auth, AUTH. That's what's up, man. Anyway, so as I put my phone on silent, let's get into it. And also I'll add a caveat onto everything. I'll talk about Batman Arkham Origins, and I will also sort of continue our conversation with the time left about where the meta is going and other implications. Okay? All right. So let's get started. All right. I'm only going to cover the figures that I feel that are worth covering. And I'm going to leave everything else untouched. And I'm not saying just because I bring it up, it's like, go buy that, this is awesome. But it's more like, this has a use. And decide if it fits your play style or something you want to build. I will also say that there is this idea sort of floating around that like Assassins now has like everything Assassins needs to be this awesome meta team, and I tad bit disagree. I think there's some interesting elements in here, but I don't think that it is the beginning of the foundation of a solid Assassin's keyword. Unlike, I would say there's some tier 2 and tier 1.5 keywords like monster and robot that still have a whole lot more leg up over Assassins. If you want to look at monsters and robots, you could probably say, servos and limbs. But anyway, so let's get into it, shall we? And I'm going to try to break down why I like each one I'm going to bring up. First off is the Batman. He comes in at a high cost, but we get some cool stuff with him. First off, that's noticeable. He starts with running shot. He has his lovely Batman TA. He has his special power starting off is remote batarangs. When Batman makes a ranged combat attack, he may draw lines of fire from any one square within range and line of fire. But the target must be within the range. Must be within range of Batman. So pretty much you can sort of shoot around walls and stuff as long as they're within your actual sort of diameter or radius. You can get them, and I think that's sort of cool. So it means that characters can't be like, oh, I have hypersonic speed around a wall and I'm safe from Batman. Not this Batman. The explosive gel give Batman a free action destroy an adjacent wall of blocking terrain, or square blocking terrain. I think that is nice to an extent, but unfortunately, you can't be like, oh, I'm charging in the midst of my charge. I'm going to use this so I can bust through a wall. You have to be like next to the wall, initiate that free action, then charge through. So it's sort of a mixed bag. The next thing that's noticeable is his trait Origins of the Dark Knight. Batman can use Incapacitate. If he has KO'd an opposing character this game, when he uses Incapacitate, he may also deal his printed damage value, divided any way you want, choosing among his targets. Now, this is this is where things get dumb. Because technically what they said is like once you KO someone, you get stunning blow. Now, this part is where he goes from being all right to stupid silly. And here's why. You start combining, hammers, you start combining other elements. Heck, you could even say utility belt, which I wouldn't really fully recommend on him, but let's say you use utility belt. You start combining a lot of silly effects with him. And that to me is very, very bad for game design, for the pure fact that now Incapacitate stacks on multiple effects. So, yeah, okay, charge, Incapacitate, running shot, Incapacitate, oh, look, I have 2 targets, so I'm locking down 2 guys. But, I mean, overall, I think it's cool. I think it makes him worth having, but I don't think that it makes Batman one of the best Batmans that's been made. I think it's cool. If you're looking at playing Batman within the set itself, yeah, I mean, he's really strong. So, moving on to the next character, the Electrocutioner. Now, a lot of people might look at this dial and it's like, well, this isn't that good and it doesn't do a lot. It's not very mobile and it's very expensive. And you just have poison and plasticity. And it's like, okay. Let's just get to the core of why I'm bringing him up. It's pretty much the hired assassins. And I look at this guy for a high point game, for you being able to send him out to kill fodder, to gain an extra 50 points. And you might say, well, how is the extra 50 points in a 500, 600, 700, 800 point game really matter? And where I sort of say is, if games can be tight, if you're able to KO something that plus that 50 points is more than Electrocutioner, then you've done well. So if you KO any support piece that's 21 points or over, he's paid for himself. Okay, so once you KO that, the one that you select. And here's the thing, you can select a POG. That's just part of it. You can KO a POG. And I got 50 points. So that is the main reason why I like him. The electric shock gloves, the fact that he can use Quake, and when he does, hit characters are given an action token and are not knocked back. That's sort of cool, but when you combine that with plasticity, you create a AOE lockdown situation, which can be cool. So I do think there's potential there. I don't think that he's like a 300 point meta piece, but I do think that hired assassins and that click 2 electroshock, that could be some pretty cool stuff. So also the big thing on the Quake is he doesn't have to do damage. It just says hit for the electroshock gloves. So that it doesn't matter if they have impervious or they take no damage or whatever else. He gives characters an action token. So think about that. He's actually pretty good with characters that have Incapacitate. So being able to use electroshock gloves, put that second token on, and then Incapacitate. Next up is Penguin Thug. And Penguin Thug is mainly there to fill out your Gotham City underworld. I feel, and he's a pretty good. They're pretty good thugs. They have incapacitate, but they have that minion power. I've got info for you, boss. Whenever a friendly character named the Penguin is within 8 squares, the Penguin thug can use perplex, but only to decrease combat values of opposing characters. This is useful considering that if you can get them stringed together with some other Batman enemies, they can get some decent attacks, lower down some defenses. It's a lot of good stuff, or damage even. So I think there's a lot of solid plays to be had with these Penguin thugs. So if you get multiples, don't trade too many off. Next up is Robin, and I know some people might think that this Robin is a little bit, to quote the British, bollocks, but it's okay, and it has some distinct advantages that I feel that need to be brought out. Distinct advantage number one: sidestep, starting sidestep. That for the purest reason is for us to start is a good reason for us to start looking at him. The second element that really becomes standout is the willpowers on clicks 1 and 2, and then it goes into incap. This is the willpower on clicks 1 and 2, and then energy explosion, and then incap. I think that having energy explosion at the beginning is nice. And with 2 targets, he's not doing tons of damage, but he can start messing with the fodder. The other thing that is interesting with this Robin design is that, if you're able to give him access, like with Gizmo, to like precision strike, he becomes really deadly. And remember, Gizmo has the ability to grant other characters attack powers. So like precision strike, that would be awesome. Now he does get perplexed like on clicks 4 and 5, and I think that sort of suck. But that in-dial smoke cloud with the new rules is pretty good, because now if he gets knocked out of that offensive Robin, he can turn into a very nice supportive, I'm here to help you Batman Robin. Then he has a special power called Bow Staff. Robin can use Incapacitate. When he uses to make a close combat attack and hits, Robin may use Incapacitate as a free action, targeting the same character. So, he can use that, pretty much have like a double Incapacitate to shut a character down, or possibly do 1 click of damage if they already had an action token. So that's pretty good. The only problem is he doesn't really have a means of getting into play without other stuff being added to him. So something to consider: is he the best Robin that we've had in the last year and a half? No, not really. But he's okay. Next up is Bane Thug. And the Bane Thug is here for only one reason. He provides what I feel is the equivalent of the enhancement batteries that we saw in the Green Lantern tanks, except he gives them power. Okay, so think of your human, think of your E-Hive troopers, think of your Leia, who else? What's your researchers? All those little cheap dudes that just sit around and do absolutely nothing. This, you're like, oh man, I spent all these points, but get 2 or 3 of these guys together, your melee damage is going to be ridiculous. Now, the other thing about Empower as well, I want folks to start thinking about too, and then also you could copy paste this enhancement is, hey, look, I have 3 Empower people and I have Close Combat Expert. Let me just put all of my bonuses into attack from Close Combat Expert. Now I have +2 attack and cap damage. So that's something else that I want you to think of. So if you get some of these Bane Thugs, I really do think that the magical number with enhancement was 3. I think the magical number with these guys is 1 to 2. You don't need 3, but 1 to 2 is pretty good. And they can fight, so I don't think that they are a waste. And even if you don't get to use their minion power, they're still worth their points. All right, moving on. Barbara Gordon. Barbara Gordon is excellent support. She's just excellent support. So first off, let's look at her trait origins of Oracle. Barbara Gordon can use Perplex if she has KO'd an opposing character this game, which she uses perplex. She may count squares and draw lines of fire from any friendly character. So again, this is like, she's one that you have to really watch out for, because if she KOs a Pog, now she has crazy good perplex, and that's what you don't want. She has Professor X quality perplex. All right, so that's the first thing that we need to note. But the next thing is the budding detective. When Barbara Gordon is adjacent to a friendly character, give her a free action to immediately use Outwit until your next turn. So what have we determined here? For 55 points, we have a potential perplex and a pretty good situational outwit with a range of 6. That's awesome. I mean, I really can't see too much of a downside. Am I working to get that perplex? Yes. I can't front. But with the way things are going in the meta now, I think that getting in that kill shot won't be as hard as people think it is. All right, next up is Captain Jim Gordon. And with all the Gordons that we've had, again, in the last year and a half, he's not the best, but here's why I really like him. Round them up. Adjacent friendly characters that share keywords with Captain Jim Gordon can use sidestep, and that really helps with deploying tons of little cops. And so for people that like cops, that's a big thing. Also, Origins of the Commissioner. Captain Jim Gordon can use the capture ability. For the first time, he releases a captive. Choose a friendly character with a lower point value. That character can use the capture ability as long as Captain Jim Gordon is on the map. So you can have a 98-point figure with capture along with Jim Gordon after he captures somebody. Now, here's what I would also say. Why is he scary? Well, he's scary because combined with Thanos, he can play a very dangerous game. Also combined with maybe a few other characters, he can play a very dangerous game, really with mind controllers. Because if you get enough mind control, and good mind control, mind you, out there now, you would be able to capture a lot of pieces. Because his attack values are not crap. They are pretty strong. Also add in the fact that if you were able to play, let's say, Book of the Skull, and on the other side of the map was Marvel 10th Iron Man, you wouldn't need to be afraid because capture doesn't do damage. Because you just mind control Iron Man to go over to Gordon. Gordon has 12 attack. He captures Iron Man and runs off into the sunset. Now I can give another character that, let's see. Yeah, choose a friendly character with a lower point value. Doesn't even have to have a keyword shared with Gordon. You just have to have a lower point value. So I have somebody else on my team now that has capture. So now I have 2 characters that capture. And also he's not unique. So I really do like this because if you think about it, you are able to exploit mind control a lot better now than you could before. Add in his indomitable potential leadership, perplex, and outwit. I gotta say we got a winner here. So don't sleep on Captain Jim Gordon. All right, next up is Enigma, and out of all of the Riddlers that we've ever had, the classic Edward Enigma is probably the best, but he was only good because of pretty much we got rid of feats. We got rid of Warbound. Now, looking at Origins of the Riddler, Enigma can use Outwit if he KOs an opposing character this game. When he uses Outwit, he can also use Perplex, but can only target the same character, which is, okay, cool. And the main reason I like this again is if he gets that killing shot off, you are now able to get a bonus element, which is perplex. Then I love a good riddle is his special power, and its Enigma can use probability control. When he does, and it isn't your turn, and the final attack roll is unsuccessful, give the attacker an action token. So now here's what I know a lot of you are probably saying in your head. This dude is expensive. He's not very dependable, and it doesn't seem to be worth our time. What's going on, man? And this is where I'm sort of coming back to. I think that he has potential. Now, I'll say this. The whole, like, I got to KO something so I can get all this other stuff to go off, I don't think having a bunch of those on a team is a good idea. Having one of those on a team is probably at max of what you can do. But having him being able to be stealth, having him being able to use precision strike, also, just for the pure fact that he has prob, and that prob can give you a potential token put on someone. I think that's a lot of goodness stacked together. Is the price a little high? Yes, it is a little high. But I do think that you're able to make up at least 80% of your cost that you're paying for with him. I think there's some other things in the future that could provide some situational interestingness. Mainly if something comes along the pipe that there's a character that increases precision strikes minimum damage to 2 instead of 1, then yeah, we can definitely see Edward Nygma fully have his value. So somebody worth considering. I think he can shake up the meta just a little bit. Next up is Penguin. Penguin is sort of funny because we just got off of the whole, no man's land, and we got a good Penguin. And so for us to get this Penguin is sort of, okay, cool. The information broker, the Penguin can use Outwit. He may activate Outwit with a power action instead of a free action. And when he does, he can count squares and draw lines of fire from the square of a friendly character that shares a keyword with him. So just being able to do that, to have an Outwit that can extend past his 6 range, actually is really awesome. Definitely with the flow of battle going to if it starts to scatter. Now, where I also like it is that he has a Gotham City keyword, and he also has a ruler keyword. So those two, like, Gotham doesn't really need a lot more Outwits. Ruler could probably use a few, but having it the way you do for Gotham City, you could team him up with a lot of Gotham City PD, which they really need some Outwits, and create some problems. So overall, I think that he's okay. I don't think he's the best. I just think he's okay. Now, like I said, let me phrase that. I think coming at 78 points, if you put him on a Batman enemy team where you focus on getting his attack up, I think then he could start becoming a threat. Definitely once he gets to his blades and perplex rolls. But unless you're able to get his attack up, I don't think he's going to be serving as a attacking function. At best, he's your third tier attacker that is there cleaning out the support. Okay, let's look at the last figure, and that is Shiva. And Shiva comes in at 90 points, and I don't know if that's less or more than her previous incarnation. But at 90 points, she has improved movement, ignores hindering, ignores characters, which is okay. Hired assassin, she gets, plus 50 points if you're able to KO a specific character. And then also you get from the shadows. Shiva can use stealth, When Shiva occupies Henry terrain at the beginning of your turn, she can use charge and exploit weakness. So I like it because if you are able to like set her up inside of smoke cloud, now bear with me, people. Here's the thing. Remember, beginning of game actions. You can determine the order of anything at the beginning of the game. Also, when does smoke cloud disappear? At the beginning of your next turn. Where is Shiva? In smoke cloud at the beginning of your turn. Oh wow. Yeah, so her and smoke cloud are good buddies. Okay. The next thing that really sort of stands out is the fact that you're really easily able to get penetrating damage. Just penetrating and guaranteed damage with from the shadows, because when you look at all that precision strike she has, and the combat reflexes, and the indomitable, and the leadership, and the close combat expert. I mean, like, she is designed to hit you every turn. Like, you can't avoid taking damage, and I think that's the best thing for her. And I think that if I was to bet on a melee figure that would to come in and start shaking things up a bit, it would be this figure right here. And I know a lot of folks will look at her as like not that impressive. She doesn't seem to be able to take on a lot of different various options that are out there in the meta, and that's true to an extent, because most melee bricks can't really take on a diversity of things. But if your team is based around utilizing barrier and smoke cloud, she will wreck your opponent. I kid you not. If you are able to build your team around smoke cloud and barrier and have, it be functional, she will wreck the other team. So, yeah, that's definitely get a Shiva. I'm not saying you have to go out there and buy 3, but at least try to get 1. All right, so that's pretty much the end of my Batman or Arkham, or what is it? Is it Batman Arkham Origins? I think that's the name of the set. Yeah, Batman Arkham Origins review. I haven't gotten the game yet. I got a lot of other priorities before I pick that up. So also I figure it's going to go down for Christmas. Like, anyone that's actually worked retail or even just paid attention to sales knows the following things are true. Anything put out before Christmas will get knocked down, for video game wise, will get knocked down in price for Christmas. Anything that was out last year, the Game of the Year edition is going to be out this year. I mean, that's pretty much it. So definitely with the Batman games, after what they did with Arkham City, I really think like the best thing to do is just wait a year and then play it. I don't think there's anything in that game that's like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome, I have to play it now. It's really just pretty much a lot of the same from the previous games. But anyway, moving on. Let's go back to the meta and elements that we need to start looking at again. And I put a tweet out there, and I said that the core of the new meta is the 3 and 4 man team. I pretty much said it's going to be the rock of how we're going to be dealing with things from now on. And definitely looking at this Arkham Origins and some stuff from the upcoming Superman and Legion of Superheroes, I'm starting to believe that more and more. And I think that game design is trying to really push us in that direction, where even if we do have like this big tank, like let's say Orion, we're going to be packing in 2 pretty decent sized 50-point characters to back him up, and then also try to do finisher shots. So let's sort of get back to that core and start to see why is 3 to 4 figure teams going to be our pretty much our go-to. Well, first off is we still haven't solved for crazy damage from Marvel and DC 10th, and we've seen some other figures sort of come out and present us with crazy cheap damage. Now, if you look at the redonkulousness that was, early draft team bases and utility belt, then we could say like, oh look, we've been used to cranking out 8 to 14 damage a turn without any second thought. Now that we can't do that anymore, and the tone and the pace is slowed down, what's the next best thing? Well, 4 damage with RCE is right there at the top. Oh, 11 attack. Oh, 90 something points. Oh, wow. Okay, I can do that. And so really it's not 4 damage. It's actually like 3 with RCE, and that's Green Lantern. So when we start looking at that element again, and we start to realize that, oh yeah, those Marvel 10th dudes and those DC 10th dudes that were a little bit broke before, I can start looking at those again. Also, we can start looking at other characters along that way that are still producing, high damage numbers for cheap. Now you're starting to notice that I'm saying high damage numbers, and I'm not saying high attack values. And the main reason I'm saying that is we have so much stuff to solve for attack values, it's not even funny. We have some moderate stuff to solve for damage numbers. Now, bear with me in my logic here as I'm about to go through this. It is cheaper to modify your attack in the game right now than it is to modify your damage. And I'm going off of your base damage, all right? So let's say I have 3 base damage. If I add Range Combat Expert onto that character, guess what? I've probably increased the cost of that character by 20 to 30 points. All right, now let's take a step back and let's say, all right, I decide to go the enhancement route. Well, for each enhancer that I'm going to put on a team, I'm looking at spending 30 plus points per enhancement. So for each additional click of damage, I'm spending probably a minimum of 90 points. Very inefficient. Okay. Then we can say like, well, there's other effects that would make all the damage penetrating or whatnot. Again, Gizmo gives my character Psychic Blast. I'm investing a good chunk of points, and I have my Gizmo right here. I'm investing 78 more points to give my character Psychic Blast. So, what does that tell us right there? Damage is very expensive. Damage is very expensive. So, by having elements that maximize our damage, again in this core concepts that we're looking at, is great. But we should already have most of that stuff that's going to boost our damage already built into that character in our initial cost. Okay? So am I saying enhancement's bad? And no, I'm not. But when we look at it, for what I pay for 1 PD to lower my opponent's defense, which again deals with our attack stat, is way cheaper than any enhancement that I can buy. So then if I'm looking at what I need to fill in, what I need to fill in is with the cheapness, not with what's expensive. Okay? So that's where this 3 to 4 man format comes in, because if I have a good solid attacker and the base stat damage is, let's say for giggles 3, then I know that most likely I'm paying less than 110. And then you might say, why some arbitrary number at like 110? Because once I start going to 120, I can get Thor. And Thor does 4 damage. And around 110, you get some really good stuff, and you can still get a 4 damage under 110. It's just your range isn't super awesome. So I mean, just go to HC Realms and check it out, and you'll see that I'm pretty much right. That if you look at, like, just type in 4 damage and put in less than 110 and then modern age, and you'll start to see, oh wow, my range isn't that awesome. Okay. The next element that really comes in is that because the damage is the expensive part, but that high expensive damage is tacked on to a lot of cheap characters, we have a choice of having 2 of these high damaging mobile or maybe not so mobile characters together with a cheap shenanigan or a cheap support, or you could say 2 cheap shenanigans, 1 cheap, or 2 cheap supports. You know, you can do that. Okay, and definitely when we're looking at our support issues, what's happened? We're still looking at our support being between 40 really 30 points, all the way up to about 80 points. And our 80 point support is going to be attacking. So that's a given. And it's going to be either attacking or it's going to be doing a shenanigan in a support role. So though when we look at that, and it's like, oh, okay, some of this is starting to come back together. And I know, again, this sounds like it's fundamental, like it's back to basics and whatnot, but the main thing about these fundamentals sort of hitting these core elements again is this. Since the game resets and we hadn't really thought about this for almost 6 months proper, then we have to sort of come back to like, oh shoot, fundamentals, I forgot about that. That's what people need to play. And it's like, oh, but fundamentals are boring. Well, without fundamentals, you can't build a solid structure. And that's what we're trying to do. I'm not trying to get y'all hyped up on chicken steroids, okay? You know, I don't want y'all to go out there and look all big and tasty, and then when people bite into you, you taste bland. You know, to come to find out, you're nothing more than juice, chemicals, and water. So, anyway, I digress. So as we look at this breakdown, we also notice some other things. Book of the Skull, way too cheap. What does it do? Boost our attack exponentially. Okay. What else is way too cheap? We get a whole lot of this. I can only affect perplex down my opponent. I mean, you heard me say one of those today. I think it was like what, Penguin Thug or something. So we have tons of those. They're all over the game. So if they're all over the game, Omen's another one of those. Then guess what? If that perplex, because that perplex has a limitation, it's cheaper. Therefore, I can get that little effect plus get something else. So if I rearrange everything and I skew my stats, guess what? I come out ahead. So, for example, one of the best Iron Mans right now to play comes from the Iron Man movie. I think he pops in at 75 points, and it's that that number 1 Iron Man, the rookie Mark 7. Plop a hammer on him, would give him running shot. Now he has running shot, and I think I talked about this last episode with promotion. Now he has running shot, 11 attack. He already has Indomitable. He gets whatever else he gets from running shot, hammer. And now he's a boss, slaying people for 75 points. Playing 2 or even 3 of him is not a bad deal. Again, why is that? Well, we are solving for the fact that damage is expensive, attack is cheap. Damage is expensive, attack is cheap. And if I can fill in other guys, then I can do some great stuff. So if everything that I said sounds a little like, oh, this is basic or it's redundant, he's just saying the same thing over and over again. Again, trust me, if for some things that I've read recently with some team ideas that I've read around, I'm not picking anybody out now, people, and some conversations that I've had, it's making me really think that if you pay over 140 for a figure and 300 points, mind you, the burden of that figure is so exponentially high that you wind up going down to the cheaper versions anyway. Like if I could say your expectation level is like this in heroclix. From 1 point to 30 points, you just exist. You are just there purely to exist. If you can heal or, situational perplex or situational prob or anything like that, that's fine. But we put you on the team knowing that if Superman breathes on you, if Catwoman farts wrong, you're dead. Okay? So that's that 1 point to 30. From 30 to 50, we're expecting you to live a little bit. We're expecting you to take one hit. More than that is asking too much. But one hit from 30 to 50, you should provide something stable and dependable. From 50 to 75 points, you have to be able to dish out some damage. You have to. I paid too much for you. I don't get to walk away from this endeavor saying goodnight. I need a piece of cake. Okay? This doesn't work out. So there's some expectation there once you get to that 50 to 75 point range. All right? And the amount of what you're able to carry in that range starts becoming more nebulous depending on your formation in the backup and how many figures you have on the board. Okay, because in the case of like this Iron Man, he can jack you up if he's able to keep surrounding himself with fodder. If he's able to get a hammer on him and then rotate fodder around, I'm sorry, he'll have better stats if I get a hammer on him. He'll have better stats if I can get a perplex on him. He'll have, just better stats if I'm able to get an enhancement or a PD behind him. If I'm able to clog you down with fodder, sort of similar to the way George Masu ran his team at Gen Con this year, and I keep that little cheap man in the midst of the swarm of the sea of people, then guess what? You won't be able to kill him easily. And then you're in trouble, because by the time you get to him, he's already done crazy amounts of damage. So moving on. Once we go to that 75 point to 110, at 75 points to 110, the expectation is 4 attacks. I didn't say 4 hits. I didn't say 4 damage. I said 4 attacks. If you didn't get in at least 4 attacks, then you have a problem. Then you're going to say, isn't that again an arbitrary number? No, it's not an arbitrary number. And let me break it down for you why I'm saying 4 attacks. You move up, that's a turn. Okay? However far you move up. Your opponent moves up. Okay? You engage. That's 1 attack. Okay? Let's ignore pushing damage for right now, okay? That's 1 attack. Your opponent engages and attacks. All right? You clear. All right, so what turn we're on? We're on just finished turn 3. You attack again your next turn. That's turn 4. attack again turn 5, and then clear turn 6, attack again turn 7, and you're probably dead. That's 7 turns. And again, I'm just saying hyper expectations. You're starting to get what I'm saying is once you go over 75 points, you're expected to stay there a while. The problem is like once you hit that 75 to 110, it's like, oh, okay, if you get like 1 or 2 good solid hits in, and I'm saying hits, not attacks, hits, you've paid for yourself. You do more than that, then I'm getting exponential returns. Okay? Now, here's the problem. Once you go over that 110 line, you start talking 115, 116, 120, and you go from that 110 line all the way up to 150, you got to put in work. You can't miss. So, like, look at that Thor. Look at how the expectations were built on Ghost Rider. Look at, I mean, shoot, like, go look at Iron Man movie set. There's a couple of Iron Mans that are 150 in there. I mean, there's a lot of figures that once you look at that 150 point range, you have to put in work. You can't miss. Your stats have to reflect a auto hit. I can't spend a lot of time setting things up. You're the crux of my offense. Okay? What you go to, I'm gonna categorize this. 150 to 200 is really just there's no substantial change. It's just cost. You just have either a little bit more stat padding or a special power that's a little bit more BS than what it should be. Okay, that's pretty much it. You have a gimmick. That's it. Okay, so once you hit 200 points to 250, you reach what I call natural disaster standpoint. Because at 250, if you do not act like a natural disaster, from 200 to 250, if your character does not act like a walking, talking natural disaster, if your character is not Vash the Stampede for all my anime heads out there, it's a disaster for you. It's not a disaster for your opponent if you're not going off with that character. It's a disaster for you. If you're doing what you're supposed to be with that character and it's doing its work, it's a disaster for your opponent because they can't stop it. It just kills and kills and kills and kills and kills. Now, all that pressure that's from that 110 to 150 is like quadrupled once you're looking at that 200 to 250. Again, now if we take it from 250 to 300, then it's like the pressure sort of is winding down. It stays the same because we're still in that natural disaster. Except it's like, oh, there was a flood. It's like, no, the meteor hit. Like that's what you're looking at. Like, oh my gosh, wormwood fell into the sea and the world's drinking water was consumed. Like, we lost a third of our drinking water due to wormwood and because Superman landed a critical hit with a meteorite. Like that's how it should feel. Now, I know in terms of clicks, people don't always have this melodrama in their head, but when they're really planning out their team, no one puts vet icon Superman on their team ever because they're like, oh yeah, I just expect to have fun and hope that he gets a kill or two. No one says that. No one. Everyone's like, he's going to murder some fools. And if not, then dang. And then some other choice words. 300 points higher, it's all about how much shenanigan BS that you can stack on top of them. That's really it. 300 points higher, they're in weird categories of, wow, that's annoying, wow, that's broke powerful, wow, that has a mechanic that shouldn't never exist, but he has it because he's ridiculous amounts of points. Wow, oh my gosh, my team loses X, Y, and Z automatically, and then my character when placed on the field, automatically just starts killing stuff. Like you just have random categories that I have to go in and look at on a case-by-case basis. But wrapping all of this up, you can start to see where that sweet spot is. And that sweet magic number, the sweet magic number is 4 damage. If you can find a decent attacker with 4 damage, 10 attack, and under 110 points, then that needs to be a core element of your new meta conversation. Just needs to be. And you can say like, hey man, but team bases, and hey man, this other thing. Yeah, look at some team bases. Look at New Mutants. Like, yeah, the dial is stupidly short for 100 points. But what all can you do with that 100 points of dial? Oh, I can use solo adventure. Yep. Oh, I can have the potential of incapacitating a bunch of people if I KO something. Yep. Oh, wow, this isn't as bad as I thought. Yup. Hey, I could still use Shi'ar because I can put these out there and do this and have solo adventure, right? Yep. Oh, look, I can run Pepper Potts because she does support, and then when she gets hit, she has a stop click, and then she lights people up, and if I give her a hammer, she kills things. Yep. So I hope I'm starting to like help you all understand that our new Magic World meta is going to have a lot of solid pieces in that 110, that 75 to 110 ratio, fewer pieces that are in that 110 to 150. Okay, unless we get a resource or relic that allows a character to do 2 or 3 attack, do an additional attack in the game in the same turn, or consistently every turn, or allows a character to attack then move. Not move then attack, but attack and move. And I'm not talking about hypersonic speed. I'm talking about if you have a character that's able to, after it attacks, has a trigger that would allow them to go to their full movement and run away, or run to another direction. That is the only way I can see a 150 point or higher figure coming into the meta as a dominant force right now. In about 2 or 3 sets, that can change again. Whenever Superman stuff lands on the scene, we see that 200 point, devastating pressure arise. But again, if we play this right, I think our meta mining needs to start between 75 and 110 points. All right, for those who couldn't tell in my voice, I've had a cold. I've had a cold since last Saturday. I had pink eye. It was a tingle in the throat. I nixed that with Listerine. Then it turned into pink eye. Then pink eye into a nasal cold. And really when I had pink eye, it was like I had a running nose because of the pain from the pink eye. And then it just, yeah. So I am on all sorts of antihistamines. I also have come to learn that Mucinex and Allegra D counteract each other, because one tries to dry you out and the other one tries to make your nose run. Didn't know. That's what I get for having a mom that's a chemist and also works in the pharmaceutical industry. Anyway, so hit me up. I got some good emails. I got some really good emails this week from cats telling me about how their Fear Itself stuff went, and not too much of it's good, and I feel bad, mainly because I had a whole lot more success stories from last time, from the No Man's Land. But again, Sealed is a bear. I don't like Sealed, so, but That's what's up. Big shout out to Aaron Constantine. You may not have won your fear itself, but you got a shout out on my show, man. Also, shout out to Mr. Dan Cubangay. Thank you for sending me that Twitter love, son. Also, JCN Lapel, I choose you, Pikachu. And thanks for listening. Also, new listener. Hold up, wait. Dave Webster. Thank you for subscribing to me on YouTube, sir. Thank you very, very much. Anyway. Oh, and also SPC Hawk 237. I don't know what type of bird you are, but thank you for swinging by. Just make sure you don't leave any eggs. All right. That's it for today's show. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from the depths of the sea, got beat up by a robot, and compacted into my pocket in the Digiverse. If you want to know when a new show's out, definitely follow me on Twitter or some of my ramblings. Also, I put out on Twitter that Target, because I work there, has all of the Man of Steel heroclix on clearance. So go check that out. It may be in toys instead of the front end cap area where the collectibles are. So you got to check that front end cap where the collectibles are, and then go back by toys. And if you see a whole bunch of like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff on an end of an aisle, just go dig through that crap. You might find them. I pulled not awesome, so we're not going to go into that. Anyway, going on, you can subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm not as popular as some other channels, so that's why I usually try to tell you all to, follow me on Twitter. But if you want to subscribe, feel free. And I'm probably at the bottom of your queue, but that's all right. It's all good. You can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, son. Keep it rocking. Let me know what do you think of some of these gravity feeds. What do you think of Arkham Origins? What do you think of some of the stuff that's been spoiled so far for Superman, the League of Superheroes? Legion of Superheroes, sorry. So far, I'm not feeling the Legion of Superheroes. I know Dan was telling me, there's a couple of pieces in there that are pretty good. He likes that Grundy. But, man, Grundy may be born on a Monday, but he won't be played on my Saturday team. Anyway, the blog, it will be put up and put out when I can. It's going to be coming back some more soon. I know I said that last week. But I will put up stuff, sprinkle it in, and try to build back up to doing it 3 times a week. But dang it, that XCOM and that Might and Magic Duel of Champions, that digital lover grabs me and tells me I can't go to bed. All right, that's it. I got some cool stuff heading down the pipe, so definitely be on the lookout. And when I can announce it to you all, I will do it. And that's it. Thank you for listening. And remember, we all got to start over sometime.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's catalog. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm her Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane.
I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call.
I will swing down the city.